Hello, everyone in the chat. Welcome in. The race will get underway. Well, qualifying will get underway relatively shortly. We're just trying to get one more person into the lobby who isn't in yet, and then we will begin. Oh, Extract, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Our two-time reigning champion is nervous about going without the line, but he'll be fine. You'll still be up there, but hopefully for competitiveness' sake, not as far ahead as you were towards the end of last season. Got some Denko fans in the chat, which is good to see. The first time Denko will be doing a season opener in APPF1, and indeed a full season, so we'll see how he manages to do. Oops. Ah, there he is. Quite nervous alongside the champ, but exciting at the same time. Yeah, same team as the champ, so no pressure. No pressure. You'll be fine. I'm predicting Denko to get a podium this season, at least one. We just need him to select his car, and then we will get underway. I think he's in the Red Bull, if I remember rightly. Hi Dakar, welcome to the stream. We're here for Tier 2. It is the opening week of the first season of 2025 in APPF1, season number 15, but 14 for Tier 2, because Tier 2 started one season after Tier 1. I've thought in the past about putting on seasons for the other two divisions just so it's matched up, but it's gone too far now. I can't add on a mystery season. Maybe I can. I don't know. But anyway, we're about to get underway. A season opener in Japan. What a prospect. Oh, a Triku fan in the chat. Lovely to see. I love seeing fans of different drivers in the chat, especially fans of drivers who've never had fans in the chat before. I really do like that. Always feels good as a driver if you just happen to look at the commentary chat and you see support for you. So you guys are doing great work. Welcome to the stream. But we are here in Suzuka. What a track for a season opener of APPF1 Tier 2, season number 14. We will be here every Tuesday for the next 10 weeks to bring you this season. Last season was an absolute domination by Extrac in the Mercedes as he cruised to his second successive Tier 2 title. and in unprecedented fashion, really, in the history of APPF1. But this season, he's going without the racing line, so perhaps not as dominant as before, but we shall see. We've also got some newbies on track. We'll cover everyone over the course of this qualifying session, I promise. Let's get all the details up on the screen for you. There we go. Yeah, we'll have a short qualifying of 18 minutes and then a 50% race, and that will be the format for all races this season. There will be no sprint races this season. It's just going to be the standard short quali and 50% for all 10 races. Maybe sprints or one or two sprints will return for season 15, but not this time. Or just regular races this season. It's Triku Badayak who's first out on track, followed closely by Dads Can Game in the Red Bull. That's such a good name, Dads Can Game too. They absolutely can. Everyone welcome here in APPF1. The Czech driver who had his debut season last season and did very well indeed. Recorded a decent championship finish and was in the fight for top 10 pretty much every single race. I think had a best finish of 4th in race 3 or 4 in that season. So hopefully he can go one better and get himself on the podium for the first time in the league this season. He will be first to attempt to set a lap here in Japan. Hello to Rick in the chat as well. Good to see you there as well. Hopefully you enjoy what is going to be a fantastic season opener. And it's Triku Badayak on an out lap. Here we go, a lap of Japan. He heads down towards turn 1 for the first time today. 15 minutes left of qualifying, plenty of time. Car getting out of the way just ahead, but into turn 1 and into turn 2 straight away afterwards. Triku fairly comfortable through there for now. Maybe a little bit conservative. Now turns 3 and 4, gets a little bit of the curb at 4 and loses the rear slightly. Had to slow down to avoid a spin, but that will have cost him a little bit of time through that first sector. Not bad though through the rest of it. And now towards the tricky Degner's 1 and 2. Lifts off for Degner 1, brakes for Degner 2. If you're very, very brave, you can go flat for Degner 1, but we'll see if anyone does that in Tier 2 today. Into the hairpin goes Triku Badayak, and third gear through there, and gets on the power on the exit as soon as he can. Now all the way around this long curve, flat out, all the way down towards Spoon Corner. Coming up now, brake at about 30 meters or so, and now wide at the exit for Triku Badayak. That will have definitely cost him some time. He won't be happy with that as he comes hurtling down towards 130R now. It's just flat out left-hander now for Triku. Through he goes, catches the curb on the way as well, and down to the final chicane, brake at about 100 meters, a little bit earlier for Triku, quite slow through the chicane itself. He's just trying to get a lap on the board, and he does so. DRS open, it's a 29.565 to start us off. What can Dads Can Game do on the medium tyres? We'll shortly find out. Coming through the final corner in his Red Bull for his debut lap in APP. It's a 33.6, but I think he's just practicing at the moment, so I wouldn't pay too much attention to that. Jackalacko, the season 10 champion of Tier 2, comes down to the line. It's a 29.16 for him, so that is more like the sort of times I was expecting today. And Scott, a 28.5 is outrageously good from the British driver, and he'll be looking to take a pole position today by the looks of things. We've got the V-carb of JB, who goes to P3 for now. What about the McLaren's Tier coming to the line at 29.2? He goes P3, but no one anywhere near Scott's time at the moment. What about Extrarek, the defending champion, two-time defending champion in his Mercedes? The Norwegian comes to the line. It's looking pretty good. It's P2, but it's still nowhere near Scott's time at the moment. Extract, not really a natural qualifier. He's much better at race pace, but we'll see how that goes with no line. Enchiladad goes to P3. He's been really up there for the last 2 seasons. Was runner-up in season 12 and season 13. He wasn't far off either, but he's up in P3 at the moment. Plenty of other people coming to the line. Sumo goes to P8 in his Ferrari this season. which is good to see him in Ferrari red. Other people coming across the line, that is Antone to P10, also on the medium tyres. Drogon starting a lap. No, that's the other Haas. So who's that coming across the line? Is that Antone? I'm not sure. No, it was Lawrence to P11, who is starting on a wheel. He's a two-time Tier 2 champion from days gone by, but he took a season off last season to commentate with me, and that was a good experience. But he's back on track now, and he's got his new wheel and his new rig as well, and he is in 12th place for now, but he's just going to be getting used to things. So he may be a two-time champion, but I wouldn't expect him to be close to the top this season. Maybe towards the end of the season as he gets used to it, but certainly for now he's going to be in the mid-pack towards the back, but he's going to get some very valuable practice. Alex G in the other Ferrari on a lap. Meanwhile, we've also got Denko, who's gone to P2 ahead of his champion teammate for now. And it is a very impressive time from Scott indeed, Daka. You're absolutely right. A 28.5 is outrageous at this stage of proceedings. Alex G, oh, that's not great positioning from his teammate Sumo there. And Alex clatters over the curb there on the final chicane. He comes to the line. What's it going to be for the Ukrainian driver? It's a 29.2. He goes to P6 for now, and it's going to be Drogon perhaps next across the line. He goes going through Spoon Corner at the moment, so he's only just got to Sector 1. 32.6 from him for now in that Haas this season, I think for the second time in a row. I think he was Haas last season as well. But a different teammate this time in Triku Bediak, who is still P4, by the way. Or actually has improved to P4 since we last saw him. So that explains who the other Haas was going across the line that a few minutes ago. But he's gone to 4th place. That's a great lap from the Czech driver. Cavalis also managed to get a lap. We didn't mention him. He's up to P11. We've also got Wookie out on track. So our two newbies, I'll just quickly cover them. Our Dad's Can game in the Red Bull, as mentioned earlier. So hopefully he can have a good debut, as can Wookie in the Sauber, who I think, judging by his time trial times at least, he's going to be near the front. So we'll see how he does. No pressure to him, of course, but Drogon goes to P10 in the meantime, hoping to rekindle some of his form from a couple of seasons ago. But yeah, keep a close eye on Wookie in the Kick Sauber, I would say, because he has a lot of potential to be near the front and could even be the sort of driver that we're thinking. Do we promote him to Tier 1? Do we make him turn off an assist? We'll see what happens. But I'm not going to say anything until we've seen him race at least a few times. Aces to P4. That's much better pace from him. He had a woeful season last time out. It just did not go right. He had a couple of podiums, but the rest of the season just did not go to plan. But he'll be happy with that. It's an Alpine, it's a Mercedes sandwich in the top 4 with Alpine as the bread at the moment. But let's see if any other teams can get anywhere near. JB's just started a lap. So got Lawrence on a lap. Wookie just coming to the end of his out lap, so he's about to start one. So who's going to be next? It's going to be the Haas of Drogon, I think, and he is improving by 1.5 tenths, but it's not going to be enough to improve his position at the moment. He comes to the final chicane. What can he do around the final corner? Flat out into the pits, in fact, from the Italian driver, so not happy with that lap at all. What about the Alpine? Is that the Alpine? Yes, it is. It's Scott just starting a lap. There's a McLaren as well behind. That's Tier just starting one. He's in P9 at the moment. He's in a decent opening lap. Who else have we got? We've got the Red Bull of Dad's Can Game on the soft tyres. He's 9.5 tenths up at the moment, but he's going to need a lot more than that to get up with the rest of the pack. He comes to the line, it's a 32.6, but yeah, he's going to need a lot more than that. Hopefully he's got more pace in the bank. Who have we got else? We've got... I think that's, yeah, it's Aces coming into the pits. Antone on an outlap just behind him. We've got the Aston Martin of Jack Alacco on a lap in the coming into the final sector. He's a 10th up in the middle sector. He's 6/10 off pole, but he could jump Enchilada Dad. Oh, not with an exit like that out the final corner. He cuts himself into the pit lane. Unsurprisingly, JB goes to P6 though, just in front of him, and then we've got the Kicksauber of Wookie with his first run of the league on his debut, and he's down in 15th. Well, I talked him up quite a bit. I think that might be my fault. I do apologise, Wookie. But Cavalis on an outlap just behind. We've got the McLaren of Tier coming to the end of his run. Enchilada Dad's just finishing his outlap just ahead of him, so he's about to start one. And the British driver Tier comes into the pit lane and clatters out the bollard on his way in as well. Clearly not particularly happy with that lap. We've got the Alpine of Scott coming to the line. I don't think he improved. No, he was well down, so he's going to try again on the same set of tyres. We've got, whoa, just as we rode on board with Cavalis there, I just saw his rear go sliding out through Sector 1. He'll be glad he managed to catch the car there. Sumo improves to P7, a 29.1. But Scott's still well clear of everyone else at the moment. We've got JB just behind as well. There's a Haas ahead, but that's on an outlap, so we'll see what can JB do. 6 minutes to go in the session, plenty of time to go. Is JB coming in? Is he finishing a lap? No, he's coming into the pits, so no lap for JB on this occasion. We've got Antone as well coming to the line, but no lap for him either. He's into the pits too, not even bothering to do another lap on the same tyres. Wookie coming into the pits, I imagine. This is an in-lap, I believe. And then it's Cavalis who's not improving right now. Enchilada Dad is, though. He's 3.5 tenths up, and the Irishman looking to get himself into the fight for pole position. It would be the closest to Scott anyone's got so far, but he invalidates at the final chicane, and that is gutting, because that would have been a 28.6. It would have been just 400ths away from pole position, and right now he remains down in 8th, and he's going to be really frustrated with that. That's a very avoidable mistake, cutting the last chicane there, so he is not going to be happy with himself for that one. Who else have we got? I think... I'm not sure, actually, who's on the lap right now. Sumo isn't. He's currently sitting in 7th. We've got Alex G, actually, but he's invalidated, so he's not on one either. What about Triku Badayak? He is 0.005 of a second up in the middle sector. Can he nail the final chicane to improve his time here? Brakes at the 100-meter board. Remember, he took this very conservatively on his first run, but we didn't see his second run, and we're not going to see his third one either, because he's come into the pit lane. What about Aces? He's just under a 10th up in the first sector as he comes into the next part of the racetrack. We've got Cavalis coming to the end. No, he's in the pits. Robsu starting a lap. Drogon just behind Aces at the moment. Is Alex G going for another lap? It looks like it. He's in hot lap mode, and it's a 32.2. He's a 10th and a bit up through Sector 1. Very, very squirrely through Degna 1. Really struggling to get the power down there. Enchilada Dad invalidates again, but I don't think he was on another run. Aces, though, is still up in Sector 1. We'll see if he can do it in Sector 2 as well. He's coming through Spoon Corner, a little bit wide of the apex on the exit there, and he's not using his battery anymore, so he's Alex G right now in the Ferrari. The Ukrainian driver looking to get himself further up the grid. He's currently in 10th. He's not doing too badly. It's, by the way, a fantastic grid tonight. 19 on the grid for the season opener as Drogon splits the Mercedes and goes into P3. Excuse me. That's a great effort from him. And could that season 12 form be returning? I do hope so, because it would be great to see him near the front again. And Alex bails out. So many bailed out laps in the third sector after being up in the middle sector today. It's happened so many times, and well, that's going to be a bailed lap well before the final sector from Tia. Just getting way too aggressive at Degna 1 and putting his car into the gravel, and that was lap over. But he was 2.5 tenths up in Sector 1, so there's a lot more time on the board for Tia. He just can't find it, and there's only 2.5 minutes left right now. We've got Wookie on a lap as well, hoping to improve on his 15th place right now. Lawrence not improving. He remains 17th for now. Got Dad's Can Game, but not improving in the first sector, unfortunately, the Red Bull driver. Primeval still in the pits for now. I think he might have a quali ban, and that's why, but I'm not sure. I don't think he does, but maybe he thinks he does. Or maybe he does, and I've forgotten. All of those options equally likely, but probably the last one. Drogon into the final sector now in his Haas. Thank you, Daka, for that one. But he's not improving. He's well down on his time. He was up in Sector 1, so he did go again, but with no end result. Wookie, this is much better from the debutant. 6/10 up in the middle sector. We'll see if he can continue that into the final sector now. Or, sorry, in the first sector even. Middle sector 1.1. And here we go. I bigged him up for a reason. He comes towards the final chicane. Can he challenge for pole out of nowhere? There's plenty of people on outlap, so still a lot of laps left to come. But this will be Wookie's last attempt, you have to think. DRS open across the line, and it's only 9th in the end. He lost some time in that final sector, but that's still much more like it from Wookie. And if he'd managed to get that final sector right, he would have been in the fight for the front row. Look how close the times are, by the way, from second all the way down pretty much to 14th. Just 4/10 in it. Fantastic stuff. There's a bigger gap between first and second than there is between second and 11th at the moment. Scott is smoking the entire grid right now. Let's see if anyone can challenge him on their final runs now. Just less than a minute left in qualifying. We've got an Aston Martin spun in Sector 1. I believe that is Lawrence on his wheel, just trying to improve and see how he can do in the race. I wish him all the very best of luck. He's got line and ABS on as well, so the only handicap is his wheel, and it's tough. It's tough to adjust a wheel after being on controller for so long. We've got an improvement incoming from Dad's Can Game. It's not going to be enough to get him into the top 17, but it will at least be a positive note to end his qualifying session on. He comes around the final corner now, and across the line he goes. It's going to be a 32.3, but he didn't enable his DRS there, I noticed, out the final corner. I think he forgot to do that, perhaps. But plenty of drivers coming across for their final runs now. Sumo in the final sector. Other drivers as well. We've got Drogon has finished. That is qualifying over. So everyone on their final runs. Denko is improving by just over 1/10 of a second. Can he find some time in the final sector to challenge Scott for pole position? He comes around the final corner, uses every bit of ERS he's got left, and it's not quite enough, but it's a great lap. It gets him into second place onto the front row. His fans in the chat will be delighted by that development, as X-Trek also improving, but he's coming up to this Alpine ahead. I'm not sure who it is. It's Scott just ahead of him. It's Scott. Is he improving in the Alpine? Yes, he is, but X-Trek beats him at 28.3 from the champion. What about Aces? What can he do in his Alpine? He's 3.5 up. Can he challenge for pole position as well? Enchilada improves to 4th place, but what about Aces? We've got JB just ahead. He's not improving though. He stays 9th. What about Aces in the other Alpine through the final corner, and DRS open? It's just not enough. He misses out and stays 3rd place, but gets past Denko at least. What about Jackalacco in the other Aston Martin? We've got Cavalis as well just ahead, coming across the line. The Red Bull just ahead has just finished a lap, but what about Cavalis? Can he improve? Yes, he can, but not enough to improve position. What about Jacko? He goes to 6th place. Great effort from the Season 10 champion. And Primeval does do a lap in the end. I don't know why he waited so long, but he's in 16th by the end of qualifying. But it's X-Rec. After a dominant season, he's turned the line off, but it doesn't seem to have done anything at all. He is on pole position for the Japanese Grand Prix in Tier 2, and it's as you were. But I'm sure Scott Aces will have something to say about that. But it's Mercedes and Alpine at the moment looking like incredibly strong teams. And, well, we'll see if anyone can get with them. So drivers getting their setups on. Anyone in the chat, if we could have your predictions for the podium, that would be fantastic. It looks like it's dry at the moment. We do see rain quite a bit in Japan, usually on the F1 games, but not at the moment. But there are clouds in the sky, so there's potential, who knows, later on. But I do wonder what tyres everyone is going to start on for this one. Whether you go for the more conservative hard start, or you go aggressive and start on the mediums. Someone perhaps will start on the softs. You usually see someone doing something wacky in Tier 2 for the strategy, so I wouldn't put it past them, especially with a 19-car grid today. But we will find out in 5 lights time. 4, 5 red lights. And we're underway for the Japanese Grand Prix. It's a great start from pole from Extrek, a fantastic start in fact. And Scott is immediately under pressure from Denko, who gets past both Alpines. What a start for Denko. Into second place he goes. It's a Mercedes 1-2 through the first corner. And we'll have a look at everything on the screen now. There we go. A lot of position changes happening further back. We've got JB and Alex G both round. And JB with no front wing. It's a disaster for the British driver to start off with, and he is down at the back of the field with no front wing. That is such a shame for JB, and he's going to have to hope for a full safety car. We'd have got a VSC straight away as a result of that crash. Alex also involved. Does he have damage as well? I can't quite tell. Yeah, he does. Absolutely he has damage. Drogon has disconnected. Disaster for him. That is unfortunate. Hopefully he can get back in the session. But it's Extrek who leads from Denko. What a start from the Greek driver. Absolutely brilliant. Brilliant getaway. Getting past both Alpines down to turn 1. And it's a short run to turn 1 in Japan as well. It was such an impressive start that was from Denko. But also Scott got an awful start. So Ace is an average start and Denko a great start. And that is what's happened. So well done to the Mercedes. They are in prime position now, but we are still only on lap 1. A long, long way to go. Let's have a quick look at tyres now. Most of the grid on mediums. There's the prediction. One driver on soft tyres. It's Dad's Can Game at the back. But Scott starting on hards. That would explain his awful start. And hards for Drogon, Triku and Cavalis as well. Tier gets a 10-second penalty for a collision under the safety car, and that will not be ideal for him. Aces gets ahead of Scott. I think that was team orders by Alpine. Scott letting Aces go to catch up to the top 2, since Scott is on the hard tyres at the moment. Got Enchilada Dad trying to put him under pressure, and the bottom 3 drivers into the pits. That includes Lawrence at the back. Drogon's getting past in his as he is an AI car right now, but he's getting back into the session. Hopefully he can rejoin ASAP so he doesn't lose too many positions, but Tier's going to have to serve that 10-second penalty in the pit lane, unfortunately for him, and that's going to be very, very costly for the British driver. As he comes through Degner 2, he's looking for the overtake on Triku Badayak. He goes around the outside. It's going to be the inside for this, but the outside for the hairpin. And he gets a little bit on the grass. Tries to go for the switchback. Robsu tries to anticipate it, but gets it a little wrong. There's a bit of contact here. Gets past Triku, but Robsu gets through as well. They're going to be side by side all the way down to Spoon. Alex is round again in Sector 1. I'm not sure how that's happened, but Triku stays ahead of Robsu as Enchilada Dad now gets past Scott, who's really struggling on those hard tyres, perhaps regretting that tyre choice already in that Alpine. We've got Jacko on the inside for 130R. Is he going to make the move stick? Yes, he is, through the flat-out left-hander. And he's looking to get past Ench as well. Scott breaks far too late and hits the rear end of Enchilada Dad. Somehow they survive, and Jacko gets through. Scott loses the place to Sumo as well, who's carving his way through the field in that Ferrari. He's up to P6, but Scott is hemorrhaging positions on those hard tyres. Jackalacco down the inside of Enchilada Dad into turn 1. Great move from the Scottish driver there into 4th place, but the top 3 have broken away thanks to Scott's strategy decision. Wookie and Prime Evil going wheel to wheel. There's contact as they go through turn number 4, but I think they've just about gotten away with it. Drogon's out. Drogon is out of the race. Oh, it's another disconnect. It's a disconnect glitch. I thought he'd hit the wall, but no, it's a disconnect glitch. That's so unfortunate. What a awful start to his season. But who's that out off the track in front? That is Prime Evil going into the gravel, and Wookie will be all too happy to take that position back from him. And now he's got Anton just ahead of him. And it's not been an ideal debut so far for the Sauber driver. He's hoping he can get back into the groove. But we've got plenty of battles happening further up. Enchilada, Jacko and Sumo all together for P4 right now. Sumo a little bit wide out of Spoon, but trying to get the best possible exit so he can maybe have a run on Ench, and he's got a run on Ench. Down the inside he goes for 130R. What a move this would be from Sumo. They're still side by side all the way through. Ench is going to have the inside for the chicane, and he breaks late enough. Late as he dares, doesn't go in the back of Jacko. It's beautifully defended by the Irishman, and Sumo will have to live to fight another day. It's a lovely new helmet on Sumo, by the way. That is a 10 out of 10. Fastest lap in P2, just following his teammate, and Aces following behind as well in his Alpine. But it's been an amazing start to this race for the Mercedes duo. Wookie has left the session as well. That is a second, well, a third technically, disconnect of the day. I hope he can get back in too. Enchiladad leads this little bit of a train. Scott is still staying in it, to be fair to him. He's maybe gotten back into the groove of those hard tyres now, but yeah, he was really struggling in those opening laps. Tia is just behind as well, struggling a little through Degner 1, but he's just about okay. He does have that 10-second penalty to serve, so he's definitely going to be hoping for a safety car at some point, is Tia. As Robsu and Triku now join the train. Anton as well. Prime Evil getting past the AI car of Wookie. Drogon in the chat is heartbroken by the disconnect, and I completely understand why. I don't know what to say, Drogon. I don't know why this is happening to you so often. But this train is really heating up now. Sumo on the back of Jackalacko this time. He's not going to try the same thing he tried on Ench just a lap ago. He stays behind this time, but he's really putting these two under pressure in his Ferrari. He seems to have a lot of pace around here at the moment. And the gap to the top three has actually come down a little bit since I last checked. And, well, that proves it. Enchiladad setting the fastest lap in his McLaren. And here comes Sumo to the inside of Jackalacko just behind. Anton getting past Triku further back. But Sumo is on the warpath here. He's not making the overtakes, but he's piling the pressure on these two cars ahead. And he's going to be hoping that they can catch back up to the top three and start challenging for the win as well. Scott has dropped out of DRS range now, but he's not far off. Oh, that's Tia completely losing the rear in the background. How on earth is he still on the track? I do not know. He was facing completely the wrong direction. But he's still there in P9. He only lost the position to Robsu, who's had a mistake of his own there through Degner 2, but there's nothing Tia can do about it. He has to stay behind and lose some more time. And that's good news for Anton and Triku, who are trying to catch back up. Wookie's still not in the session. Let's see if he's in the Discord asking for an invite. But the top three, Extract, big mistake from the race leader, I think, as he lost a bunch of time, and Denko now leads the Japanese Grand Prix, and look who's behind them, Enchiladadan in DRS range. I think there was a mistake from all three of them, or perhaps the Extract mistake slowed them all down, and now it's a 6-car train for the lead of this race after it looked like it was going to be a 3-car show. It's now extended into a much more interesting battle between the top 6. Sumo's at the back of it, and Scott only 2.5 seconds down. He's going to be on the mediums in the second stint, so if he can stay in relatively okay range, he'll be in with a shot later on in this race, especially if a safety car comes out at the right time for him. Prime Evil into the pits. Early stop for Prime Evil onto the hard tyres, trying to get a bit of an undercut. Robsu on the curb there through sector 1, nearly losing the rear, trying to get past Scott. He knows he's losing time, does the Finnish driver, but there's nothing he can do. Scott defending well right now, as Jackalacko was close to the back of Enchiladad when I checked, but he's just backed off through Degner's 1 and 2, and Enchilada all over the gearbox of Aces versus Kings here through the middle sector. sector. Can he make any sort of move going down towards 130R, I wonder? He's got plenty of ERS left, but so does Aces. So they're both on fairly equal terms. Aces, in fact, has a little bit more. And Denko looking to extend the gap now. 7/10 he is ahead of the champion. As well, Denko, he's never had a podium in APPF1, if I remember rightly, but today could be the day. Tyr, meanwhile, on the inside of Robsu into 130R. They're side by side down to the chicane. We've seen this already several times today. Robsu on the inside, and Tyr breaks a little too late trying to get that position, and Robsu stays ahead, but Tyr, he's going to be so frustrated with that 10-second penalty, because otherwise he would be well in this race for 7th place. Aces versus Kings is up there as well. He's just managed to defend against Enchilada Dad, and he's now looking to attack against the champion Extrac, as Denko looks to break clear. 8/10 is now the gap, but Extrac brings it back a little bit through the latter part of the sector. I'm just going to quickly see if I can get Wookie an invite. Oh, I'm not friends with him, am I? So I can't really. As Lawrence has binned it, and that is a safety car. That is a safety car in this race. It's great news for Tyr, but Lawrence bins it through Degner 2. And I have to say, for your first race on wheel, Japan is a tough track to come to. So not the most ideal start for Lawrence to his life on wheel. But the two-time champ will be back. I am sure of it. But the safety car is out. We've got the top two as they were, Denko and Extrac, and then it's going to now bring Scott back into it. But I think it's a bit early for him, this safety car. He won't be happy with this, because he's either got to drag out the hards for longer and lose his free pit stop, or go in the mediums and try and take them to the end, which will be a tall order, I have to think. 20 laps on the medium tyres is not going to be easy at all. But let's see. I'm sure all of the top 6 will come in. There's no reason why they wouldn't, but it's going to be actually a disaster for Extrac here. He's going to have to double stack with his teammate. He could lose quite a few positions here. Extrac coming in. Let's see how much he does lose. Scott is in as well. He's got no choice really. But where's Extrac? He's just coming out the pits now. Goodness me, how much time has he lost? He's behind the hat of Triku, but he's yet to go in. But I think Extrac is even going to be behind Scott here. He is. He's behind Robsu and Sumo as well. Oh, actually, no, Scott's just behind him. Okay. I was a little concerned at how much time he'd lost there, but no, he is just ahead of Scott still. But down to 7th. And it's a disastrous double stack, and that mistake has actually cost him big time in the grand scheme of things, having to double stack with his teammate. But it's Denko who leads as a result, clear of his teammate, and Ace is now into 2nd place with Ench after his brilliant charge back into the race for the lead, now into the podium positions. Jacko, Sumo, Robsu, and Extrac are the rest of that train. Oh, sorry, not Robsu. Extrac has come out behind Robsu, but Extrac was there as well in that initial lead train. But Scott's going to be very dangerous now for the first, 10 laps or so. But after that, he's going to be struggling, I think, on those mediums. So perhaps hoping for another safety car, or maybe he can be a bit of a tyre whisperer, who knows. But he's down in 8th place at the moment with some ground to make up. Let me see if I can invite Wookie back. Because he's still AI at the moment. Bear with me, everyone. Alright, hopefully he can get back in. This will also bring Alex G back into the race. He's gone onto the hard tyres. I think it was a double stop from him. He went onto the mediums and then straight onto the hards. Perhaps, I'm not sure, although he's quite a long way behind. I think maybe he just had some issues. He did have that spin in Sector 1 straight after his early pit stop, so that might be it. But hopefully the safety car will allow him to catch back up. But that does mean it might be out for another lap, because otherwise I think it would be in this lap. But it also brings Dad's Can Game closer to the rest of the pack. And a lot of drivers close together. And anyone who was in that initial incident at the start as well is also back in the race, including this man, JB, in 14th. At the moment on old hard tyres. I'm surprised he hasn't stopped, but then again the mediums taking all that way is daunting, so yeah, he's in a bit of a tough spot there. So we shall see. No problem, Lawrence. You know, as I said, you will be back. You will improve as the races go by. So it's hard. It's hard to adjust to wheel after being on controller for so long. I think I adjusted quickly just because I hadn't been on controller that long. But I mean, you can see just with Sumo, he's still not really back to his old pace on controller from years ago. But that doesn't mean you won't be. So. You know, some people adapt very quickly, some people take a lot longer and then eventually surpass their previous pace, and some people take a very long time. So I hope you are one of the two former options out of those three. Yeah, new mic. Thank you for noticing. It is a... I actually forget the brand name now, but it's a Samsung Q2U if you're interested. Yeah, I'm very happy with it. It is night and day. It really is. To the headset, it's so much better. So very happy with it. Safety car will be out for another lap. It has waited for Alex at the back, which he will be happy about. And we will have 17 laps of green flag racing unless another one comes out later on. But Alex will rejoin the back of the pack, and it will now definitely be in this lap. So the drivers at the front will be getting ready to get going again. Scott, Triku and Cavalis are going to have a hard time on those mediums towards the end of this race. Either that or they go for a two-stop, but that's an equally hard time, really. So it's not been ideal for them. It's been a bad timing for the safety car for those who started on the hards. But there's still time left in this race. There could be another safety car which would save their bacon. But... we will see if that happens. The top 7 on hards, though, and it's Denko who leads the race. I think I may be wrong, but I think this is the first time he has led laps in his APP career. His APP career is only 3 races long, so don't get me wrong. But still, this is a very impressive performance from the Greek driver, considering where he was last season, when he joined in the latter few races of last season. He was sort of looking like a mid-pack driver, really, but today he looks nothing like a mid-pack driver. He is at the front, and he is controlling this safety car restart as the green flags will be out as soon as the safety car goes into the pit lane. Denko can decide when to punch it. We're right on board with Aces, and Denko's gone. No, he hasn't actually out the fight. It looked like he'd gone. He had an aggressive turn in, but no, now he's gone, and Aces stays with him, and they all hurtle towards turn 1. It's a brilliant restart from Jack Alako, and the Season 10 champion goes to the outside of Enchiladad to turn 1. He abuses that ERS button, and he's ahead onto the podium places. Brilliant overtake from Jacko, but he's lost the rear through turn 1, and he loses the place place again after such a brilliant restart. Immediately undone at the first corner. He'll be frustrated with that one. But Scott getting past Antone as well in the background. And Extrek down to 9th place now in the Mercedes. It's been not a great restart at all for the champion. And we'll see if he can recover from that. But Scott, on those medium tyres, on the warpath, he's going to try and make up as many places as possible in these next few laps. Very late braking into the hairpin, nearly into the back of the V-carb ahead as Antone tries to get on the inside. But no such luck for the Brazilian as Scott now chases after the Finnish driver of Robsu. Extrek just behind Antone as well in his Mercedes. He's still there, but yeah, not a good start. Triku on the mediums as well, just behind, so we'll see if he can make any progress too. Same for Cavalis in the Williams, but Wookie's still not back in the session. I did send him an invite, so I'm not sure. But Scott looking to the outside of Robsu. Oh, he hits the grass. I think he just got a tyre on the grass, and that was enough to send him spinning round and down to 15th place. It's a disaster for Scott, and he was already in a bad position, having to go on those mediums to the end. But meanwhile, to the front, Sumo sweeps around the outside of Giacalacco and gets to P4, and the two former long-time Sprint Championship teammates do battle, and it's Sumo who wins out this time after he tried to get him earlier in the race, and he's up to 4th place and looking like he's a real challenger for this race. Towards the front, we've got a long DRS train for P1, 13 cars still in it, but Antone is struggling to stay at the back of Extrek. He was very slow there through Degna 1 compared to the champion, and Triku Badayak, I think, perhaps getting a little impatient in his Haas. He wants to get past, but Antone very late braking into the hairpin. Goodness me, very close to hitting the back of that Mercedes, but he's just about avoided a calamity. And he stays in 8th place, but he has gained a bit of time as a result of that. So a net positive in the end, but through Spoon Corner, he just doesn't quite have the confidence in the turn-in that the cars ahead of him do, and it's costing him time through most of the corners here. But if they start battling, he will be straight back in it anyway, so he's just got to stay there or thereabouts, and he'll be just about fine, I think. But Triku under pressure from Tier, who nearly goes into the back of him there, into the chicane as well. Very, very close there. Primeval in the background as well. JB lurking, but on those 10-lap-old hard tyres, it's going to be tough for him. Look at this. It's nearly 3 wide into turn 1. Extrek looking for a move on Robsu, but he doesn't quite get it to work. And we've got a change for the lead as Aces takes the lead of the Japanese Grand Prix for the first time today. Getting past Denko into turn 1. There wasn't much that the Greek could do about it. It's the DRS that has allowed the Alpine to sail past. And Scott into the pits again for another set of mediums. He's hoping for another safety car. Who was that? It was wide at Dunlop. I think it was Tier, who was very much into the gravel there, and yeah, losing a ton of time. Does he have damage perhaps on that McLaren? Doesn't look like it. He was really wide in 3 corners in a row, so maybe just a momentum issue. Just one mistake breeds more mistakes immediately afterwards, but he's trying to get back in the groove now, trying to stay in the DRS as Primeval puts him under pressure, and JB sitting in the background as well as Cavalis, who's just around further back. Sumo in the midst of Enchilada Dad. Look at this, down towards 130R. They are locked together, these top 4. Giacalacco just a few tenths further behind, but they are on each other's gearboxes into the chicane. It's Sumo on the inside of Ench. He's hit the rear end of the McLaren and sent Enchilada spinning round. I think Sumo will probably end up in the steward's room for that one, but Robsu is now looking to get past the McLaren, who's lost 2 places as a result of that contact. Robsu on the inside. Denko retakes the lead further ahead of the Grand Prix, and Aces yields, but Robsu on the inside, he stays there for turn 2. He can't quite get it done though. Brilliant defending from the Irishman, and Extrek looking to get past. Oh, he sweeps around Antone at turn 3. What a move from the champion, proving why he is the 2-time Tier 2 champion. And he is up to 7th place and looking to recover from his poor safety car restart. And Triku is still, meanwhile, stuck behind this Red Bull. He's very deep into Degner 1 compared to Antone, and Antone wide on the exit as well of 2. But Tyr has gotten rid of its 10-second penalty, so he's well and truly back in this race. And Extract makes another move down the inside of Robsu, this time at the hairpin. Must have been a very late send from the champion, and he sweeps around the outside, uses his ERS, and he's up to 6th place and continues his climb up the field. And the Norwegian is not here to mess around after losing so many positions thanks to that double stack earlier on. Antone's still in the midst as well. Yeah, Tyr back in this race, as I was saying, thanks to getting rid of that track limit, or that 10-second penalty in the pit lane. And talking of track limits, not a single driver with a track limits penalty this far into a Tier 2 race is very impressive, I have to say. You don't see this happen very often. But it is Denko who leads. Aces pulls to the outside, though, and there we go, another swap for the lead. And there's still 13 laps left to go in this race. We are barely halfway through, and there's already been so much action. What more could this race hold for us? We'll have to wait and see, but it's those top two who are grabbing the headlines at the moment. As Sumo nearly loses it, and Dunlop as we ride on board, and Jacko looks to the inside, but Sumo covers him off and says, absolutely not, Jacko, you are not trying to go down my inside into Degner 1. I am not letting that happen. And Jack says, all right, fair enough, and backs off in the end. Extraek, and just behind the top 5, meanwhile, he's back with this train after making those overtakes, and Robsu is in the mix as well. Triku still not able to get past Antone on those fresh medium tyres, or well, fresh-ish. They're not very fresh anymore. But we've got Ench through Spoon Corner right behind Jacko as well. You can see the flashing red light on the back of that Aston, but it's just because he was not using his ERS through the corner. And Ench quickly realises that and shuts off his overtake button on the straight. TR. As we head down to turn 1 for the 16th time in this race, we've got Tyr getting past Triku. Must have been a big mistake from the Czech driver, because he's lost out a huge amount of time, as he's now under pressure from Primeval as well down to turn 1. They've both got DRS. Look at this, Cavalis on JB down to turn 1 as well. JB finds himself very low down in this race, and he's not able to make any progress at the moment. He's still just stuck in 13th place. And gets overtaken by the Williams of Cavalis as well, as Primeval looks to try and challenge. He gets on the curb, though, through turn 4, and or turn 5, sorry. And that was nearly a disaster for him, but he's back on the road, and he's just about okay now. But at the front, it is still as you were. It's Aces who leads from Denko. And what a brilliant start to the season this would be for Aces if he can win this race, or even get on the podium, to be honest. After such a woeful season 13, he needs to start off this season on a good note, and at the moment, he is doing exactly that. But we saw last season how what's the word? How prone, that's what I was looking for, how prone he was to final lap calamities. More than twice, I think, over the course of last season. He lost a bunch of positions on the final lap after a mistake or an incident. I think it was mostly mistakes, though. And, well, it's just the final lap pressure getting to him. And we'll see if it does the same today. But at the moment, he is perfectly fine. Although he's now going to be under pressure from Denko. Jacko's under pressure from Ench further back. Here comes Denko down the inside for the lead of the race. But can Ench get past? No, he can't. He stays behind the Scottish driver. And Jacko remains in 4th place with Extraek in the mix as well, in the background. That is one driver you do not want behind you in Tier 2, in this era of Tier 2, I should say. Extraek on the warpath. He's already made a few overtakes in this stint. What's a few more, eh? Is what he's probably thinking in that cockpit. But Robsu is still there as well in his V-Carb. Antone has dropped off the back of the pack now. 1.3 seconds, and Tier's just behind him. Triku's dropped off as well in his Haas. I think possibly those mediums beginning to drop off, although Cavalis seems just about fine. He's keeping up with his teammate and keeping JB behind for now, as Alex G is also in this battle. I think he was well behind at one point, so he's done well to get himself back into it. Dad's Can Game a long way behind as well. And of course Scott, 6.5 seconds behind the AI car of Wookiee. It's been a horrible season opener for him. Just a reminder for those of you in the chat who may not know, the APPF1 point system, Sumo nearly into the back of Aces, the APPF1 point system is points for the top 15 drivers. It's 20 points for the win, 16 for second, 14 for third, 12 for fourth, and then 11, 10, 9 all the way down to 15th. Is 1 point as Aces goes to the inside of turn one. He's not willing to just sit back and let this go to the last few laps. He wants to put the pressure on Denko and get in his head, and that's exactly what he's done, although he didn't get the move done in the end. Tier gets past Anton and will now be looking to get back in the wheel tracks of Robsu. 1.1 seconds is the gap now, but Robsu is in the long train, which must be losing time behind each other, especially at corners like the hairpin. I imagine they're losing quite a bit of time compared to drivers in clear air. And Tier proving that through the few Degners. Let's see it through the hairpin. Will he gain some time here? 9.5 tenths at the braking zone. He did get it a bit wrong, to be fair, though. He loses time, but he did get the hairpin quite wrong, so I stand by what I said. But it's Extrac piling the pressure on Enchiladadad, his closest rival for the Season 12 title. In the end, although it was 6 drivers who were within a shot of the title going into the final round that season. It was absolutely a season like no other. And Extract just about managed to claim the victory, with Ench just behind in the end on points. They head into the chicane and still no moves being made. Is Tier in range? Yes, he is. He's managed to catch back up after that hairpin mishap. And Scott's bad day gets worse as he gets, as he gets a track limits penalty as well in his Alpine. And, well, he is going to be gutted with how this race has panned out. He was looking like a surefire podium challenger, but it hasn't turned out like that today. Meanwhile, though, Denko still leads from the other Alpine of Aces, who's still doing very well indeed, as is Sumo on the podium at the moment in the Ferrari. Those of you who are new as well in the chat, we do interviews for the top 3 podium finishers after the race, so make sure you're tuned in for that later on. Scott gets himself into the top 15, so he will manage to score a point from this race if he can gap Dad's Can Game by 3 seconds, but I don't think he'll have too much trouble doing that. And it's Denko, 1/10 ahead of Aces. Oh, a little bit of braking and then lifting from Aces there as he realised how early he'd braked perhaps. But Sumo now on the attack. Here comes Sumo around the outside of 130R. He's using the overtake. He's caught Aces completely by surprise. Aces on the inside. He tries to hold it, but he can't do it. What a move from Sumo around the outside of 130R. That is overtake of the race so far. And Sumo is into the top 2 for the first time this race. What a performance he is putting on now. He's got the DRS from Denko. He should be able to defend from Aces, but Aces is using his ERS, but he's not got a lot left. Neither is Sumo, but Aces just hasn't got enough to make him pay for it. And Denko, meanwhile, has plenty, so he's in control at the moment with 8 laps to go in this race. But Sumo is proving himself to be a worthy challenger for the lead. Jacko's got a full battery, meanwhile, just behind Extrac. Is trying to get past Enchiladadad. Look at this overspeed he's got. He's looking to the inside of Degner 1. Surely not Extrac. Oh my goodness me. Ench leaves in the room. It's the inside for Degner 2 as well. What an absolutely audacious overtake attempt from the champion. He's around the outside for the hairpin, but Ench squeezes him out, and now Robsu finds his way through on the inside. It's brilliant opportunistic driving from Robsu, but he can't quite get it done. And wow, goodness me. First of all, how how have they got through that unscathed? Amazing racing between those two, but audacious from Extract to even go for that. But he has lost out. Well, he hasn't really lost out. They're still in the DRS train, and he's still ahead of Robsu, but he's lost a ton of ERS, and he's now going to be under pressure from the VCARB driver behind him, perhaps going down towards turn 1. Look at Robsu's overspeed down towards the chicane. Extract brakes very late to try and get rid of him. Robsu brakes early so he doesn't go into the back of him, and loses out as a result. Look how far he is behind now, but Robsu could go for this if he wanted to, but I don't think he does. And Sumo, we've got a new leader in this race. Sumo Gilligan takes the lead of the Japanese Grand Prix into turn 1, and he is now in control of this race. He's got plenty of ERS. He's managed to save some up on the previous lap. It's easy to save it around here, so Extract should be fine at the end of this lap. Now he's been able to defend from Robsu previously. Tears in this battle as well. Meanwhile, not much battling happening further down. We've got the two Williams still locked together. Cavalis, the lead one at the moment, but those medium tyres are going to get worse and worse in these last few laps. And Primeval will be waiting to pounce, as will Alex and JB, who's lost another position, by the way. And Scott is round at turn 1. Extract, meanwhile, on the inside of Enchilada out at the hairpin. It's Deja Vu, but in a different corner this time. And Extract could make this happen. He's looking to the outside. He's got the inside for Spoon Corner. He's used every last drop of his battery, and he's made the move stick. Enchilada has to go wide. And he's down to 6th place, and the champion is back into the top 5. What a audacious send from Extract. He is not willing to sit behind drivers at this stage of the race. Just 7 laps to go. Well, 6.5, 6 at the end of this one, as Robsu looks to the outside of the Irishman, Ench nearly into the back of the champion, as he just about avoids a bit of a disaster with Extract there. But wow, Extract on the warpath, and Aces is his next target. Here comes Robsu. He sees that the McLaren is vulnerable, but he can't quite get close enough into turn 1. He's used all of his ERS for nothing, and he stays behind through turns 1 and 2. He'll be disappointed with that particular failed overtake attempt. Tier is there as well. We've got Scott round again. What a disastrous race it's been after it started so well for the ESRL league owner. But Cavalis still holding off his teammate for now. This is a very accomplished drive from the Lithuanian, I have to say. Cavalis doing very well here to hold off these cars on those aging mediums. How long will it last, though, is the question. And JP down in 14th. He is going to be frustrated. Very frustrated with this race. Scott is an early retirement from this race, and that is going to hand a point to Dad's Can Game on debut. And Scott, yeah, retiring in frustration, and I don't blame him really. It's been an absolute shocker for him. He would have had a point, but you know, I think he's weighed the options and thought, I would rather end my misery a little bit early than salvage a point in the end. We still, by the way, do not have a track limits penalty on the whole grid, which is absolutely remarkable. I don't know if I've ever seen this in Tier 2 before when it's had such a big grid. This is truly fantastic to see. But, well, it's still these top 8, nose to tail, everyone in DRS range. Enchilada actually losing time to Extract. He has really not got the race pace in the latter part of this final stint. Or what is potentially the final stint, unless we get another safety car late on here. But everyone so close together. Tears actually lost out to Robsu now, as Robsu chases down the Irishman in the McLaren. But Enchilada just trying to keep up. Robsu a little bit squirrely there at Dunlop, and that's cost him well over a 10th. He comes to Degna 1. He's now over a second behind. He needs to find some time through the next few corners, but he hasn't done. He's surely got to burn some ERS, but is it going to be enough to keep the DRS? Extract again on the move, down the inside. It's his signature move this race, on the inside of the hairpin. He's made it stick again, but Aces is still with him as they head towards Spoon Corner, but it's Deja Vu from when he got past Enchilada out earlier on, and Aces, just like the McLaren driver, has to yield through Spoon, and it's another place gained for Extract as he looks to try and challenge for the race win after that disastrous double stack in the pits with his teammate. And you can never count out this man. Just do not do it. It doesn't matter how far down the grid he is. It doesn't matter what happens to him. He can still find his way through. He can still find the race pace out of nothing to get his way further up. And now Jakalako is going to be feeling very vulnerable indeed. He's got plenty of battery to defend with, and that's what he's doing. But he's in fact using it to attack Denko, and that could be a mistake. It could leave him vulnerable to X-Trek in a future lap, perhaps. But he is going to be able to recharge most of it as the lap goes on. Triku getting past Anton further back for P9. It's a good move from the Czech driver. As, Primeval, he has gone round at turn 1, and that is a safety car! An incredibly late safety car here. And once again, who's going to come in? Who's going to come in? What a decision this is. I mean, surely you stay out, but if you stay out and everyone else comes in, then you're just screwed. What do they do? What on earth do they do here? This is such a tough decision, especially for this man, Sumo Gilligan. This is just where you do not want to be in this situation. At the lead of the grid, with a very late safety car, it leaves you so vulnerable. And, wow, he's got a huge decision to make here. Denko, Jacko, X-Trek, and if they all come in, X-Trek's going to lose out again, so surely he has to stay out, but he's going to be, if everyone else comes in, then he's going to be swamped in the last 2 laps. I've no idea. If I was on track, I would have no idea what to do. I do not envy the drivers in this situation, and wow, that last gasp mistake from Primeval has brought out a safety car. He's gotten himself a time penalty for it as well. He might get that removed in stewards. So the top 2 stay out. It's looking like everyone's staying out in the top 8, but that just opens the door for everyone behind to come in for softs. Tears come in. He's made the gamble. Triku stays out. Anton does as well. Cavalis comes in. I don't blame him on those medium tyres, but I'm surprised Triku stayed out. Alex stays out as well. Primeval, will he come in? Surely. He's far at the back. Yeah, he's in for the soft tyres. But safety car will be in at the end of lap 25 regardless. So he's still got time to catch up. JB also onto fresh softs. Tier onto the mediums for the last few laps, which is an interesting call. I know the softs do not last long around here, but they do at least last 2 laps, I would have thought. But Tia does not agree by the looks of things. Safety car will be in by the end of this lap, so actually I don't think Primeval's going to be able to catch up here. It's going to be very close, but I don't think he's going to have enough time. Cavalis and JB should be just about okay, but Primeval's really pushing it, especially now he's behind the AI car of Wookiee. That's just where you don't want to be. Sumo nearly getting the back of the safety car there. Be careful, Sumo. Don't get yourself disqualified with 2 laps to go. But he's just about all right. Goodness me, what a tasty last few laps we have in store here. Everyone's going to be bunched together. I mean, everyone was bunched together anyway in this top 8, so it's not really changed that much. And we've got... What has happened there? What on earth has happened there? I think there may have been a bit of lag there. Yeah, there was indeed. Denko will get that penalty removed, I'm sure. He's trying to let Jacko through. Oh, Denko, just take the penalty. Just take the penalty. No, Denko, don't do it. Just take the penalty, man. Don't try and let them back through. Oh, Denko. He's got 20 seconds. He'll get them removed in stewards, but yeah, he's lost position to Jacko unnecessarily there. And, well, safety car in this lap. Jacko gets one as well, but he'll get that removed too. So ignore those penalties, and they're going to go underway here. Sumo waiting very, very late, and it's the top 2. It's the sprint championship teammates of old doing battle for the race lead here in Japan. It's going to be Jakalako on the inside for turn 1 with 2 laps to go in this race. Sumo sweeps his way around the outside and stays ahead. Brilliant defending from the Ferrari driver as he looks to take his first Tier 2 victory. Alex G gets himself a 10-second as well, but again, that'll get removed in stewards, I'm sure. But there was a kerfuffle going on in the midfield, I noticed, so I don't know quite what happened. But anyway, it's Denko in P3 defending from his teammate now. X-Trek in 4th place. Ace is down in 5th. In the meantime, well, he did get overtaken by Extract, so he's still right where he was before the safety car. But all these drivers in the mix here. But JB on the soft tyres, looking to find his way through. Cavalis as well is just behind. He's trying to do the same. JB, so much grip he's got on those soft tyres. It's remarkable compared to the hards, but he just doesn't have the bottle to go for it down towards Spoon Corner. JB, you've got to use the ERS there. You've got to be aggressive. You cannot just sit back and watch that happen and watch him go back past. It's the same problem he had last season when he was so fast in the early stages. Just too conservative and happy to ship places. He's got to drive like he's fast, because he is. But anyway, Sumo at the front as we lead onto the final lap of this race. We'll have no DRS. We'll only have it here on the final lap, which does absolutely nothing. As who's that? Ace into the pits. What's happened to Aces? Why is he into the pits? I don't know, but it's Jakalako who takes the lead of the Japanese Grand Prix. Aces retires from the race. What on earth has happened there? I do not know. That is a very late... well, again, it's 8 final lap Aces. But Denko holding off his teammate for now, but he's not able to challenge the top two. Jakalako leads the race, and Sumo, well, he had a famous line, is which began with Jakalako the, and you can fill in the rest, in USA a few seasons ago when he was overtaken on the final lap by the Scottish driver for the last podium place, and it could happen again here, but this time for the win. Jakalako leads from Sumo, but it's Denko in the background as well, who'll be hoping to get a slice of the pie. Extrek, don't count him out even at this late stage. Enchiladas there as well, and Robsu. Anton is further back, so it's all about these top 5. What can Sumo do? He goes through Spoon Corner. He's going to use every last bit of his battery down towards the final chicane, but so is Denko, so is Extrek. They've both got plenty in the tank. Extrek has more than his teammate. Can he make a move down towards the final chicane? Can Sumo do anything? They've used everything they've got, but Sumo's not close enough. He brakes as late as he dares, but it's not enough. Extrek not enough either. Further back, and it's going to be Jakalako out the final corner to win the season opener in Tier 2. What a race that was. It's going to be Denko in second, or Denko in third place, Sumo in second place, and Extrek in fourth. Ignore the time penalties to Jacko and Denko at least. I don't know about the 10 seconds further back, but certainly those two was unjust. Oh, Chaby and Cavalis, what a recovery from them on the soft tyres in the end. Actually, they'll be down a couple of places because of Jacko and Denko, so it's 8th and 9th for them in the end. But look at the finish, 4 thousandths of a second. What a drag race to the line between those two. Tier in P10. Oh, I'll run you through the rest of the standings. What a race though, absolutely fantastic from start to finish. Goodness gracious me. Robsu gets driver of the day from the game. I'm going to have to think about my decision for driver of the day there. No idea who to give it to, but wow. What a race. We'll have podium interviews with Jacko and Sumo. I'll also get Denko to write me a little summary because he's on PC, so he can't join the PS party, unfortunately. But it's Sumo Gilligan who takes the win. It's Jakalako who takes the win in Japan, with Sumo finishing in second place. It's third place for Denko, his first podium in the league. What a drive from him, but he'll be disappointed to lose the win, I think. Extrek in fourth, what a recovery from him. Enchilada in P5, and it's Robsu 6th, Anton 7th, JB in 8th, then it's Cavalis in P9, Tia in 10th, Triku P11, and then it's Alex P12, Primeval in 13th, and then it's Wookie, well, the AI of Wookie. Dadscan Game in 14th, he gets 2 points in the end, and plenty of retirements. Wow. Bear with, we will have interviews with Jacko and Sumo. Yeah, it certainly was Gomago. It came true straight away. What a drive from Denko it was. All right. I'm going to try and get a Discord interview with Denko. But for now, we'll interview our top two. So, our race winner, Jack Alaco. Goodness me. I mean, what a start to the season after a pretty lacking season in the end last time out. But you've got this one off to a good start.
Yeah, that was probably the most mental race I've ever done. It was just, apart from the safety cars, there was just no brakes. It was full on. My body hurts. I want to go to bed and just die. But yeah, not very good race. Good to be after a sumo again. Those like old sprint days. So yeah, very good.
Yeah, I was mentioning the old sprint teammates line a few times as that was going on. But what a performance! I mean, obviously qualifying you were there or thereabouts, but the race pace was, I mean, from pretty much everyone it was on form, but for you it was fantastic as well. And some great overtakes as well. Is there a particular one that stands out to you?
Probably there was the one at 130R on Scott. That was pretty. And then nearly went around the outside of Enchiladad. And then, well, not so much an overtake, but when Sumo tried to go down the inside of me at turn 1, I just swooped around the outside and somehow held on to it. No, very good racing.
Indeed. Well, I mean, it's the perfect start to the season, obviously. How's the calendar look for you? Because obviously this win is a little bit out of nowhere given your form last season. Do you think you can mount a challenge for your second Tier 2 title, perhaps?
Let me have a look at the calendar then. We'll leave it at that.
Fair enough.
We'll see. Ask me at round 10.
Well, it's the perfect start, so here's hoping you can keep it up.
Cheers.
So well done, Jacko. And I will now move on to our second place finisher, Sumo Gilligan. Well, you're back on the podium, but the wait for a Tier 2 victory goes on. I think there's a certain 3 words that you've probably got in your head right now. But I mean,
don't worry, that's spread all over the Discord.
Say it, I dare ya.
What a performance nonetheless, and what a start to the season.
Yeah, I was actually a bit worried going into the race because I was worried I wouldn't be able to keep the momentum going in. I struggled a bit in qualifying, but I did what I could and just said to myself to take it easy, keep it out of the wall, keep out of incidents, and just see where I can go. And I just seemed to have a lot of pace. I felt like I was really consistent as well, which around Japan is absolutely king. I wasn't expected to be in contention for the win, maybe P3, but yeah, that was there was some fantastic racing going on, although it might be ruined by the stewards a bit later on. I'm not sure.
I was about to mention that. I think you're probably referring to the last chicane with Enchiladad, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. But yeah, indeed, it was a tough one. I don't know. I'll let the stewards handle it, but we'll ignore that for now. We'll gloss over that because I mean, at least for now, back on the podium, it must feel great to have a race where nothing went wrong. Other than that one little incident with Ench, but in terms of on-track position, nothing really went wrong for you. And are you hoping you can keep that consistency going over the course of this season?
I'm hoping so. The momentum was very good. I think there was points in that race where I felt like I was, actually hunting people down, which felt great. I kept with the pace. I'd planned to pit at lap 7 actually on the safety car lap. And then that completely ruined that. I was going to try and undercut everybody because I knew the tyres would easily do 20 laps. But the safety car kind of neutralised the race for everybody at the front, which was a shame, but it's what it is. Indeed.
Was there any inkling at all in your mind going pitting for the softs at the end, or
No.
because at the front, and a late safety car is exactly where you don't want to be. But I think I would be surprised if any of you came in. But was there even any sort of doubt in your mind at all, or were you absolutely staying out?
No, I was staying out every day of the week. There was no point. We were going to go around once. The safety car was going to come in. I would have just been shooting myself in the foot. If I did that, I didn't even think about putting on. I said immediately as the safety car came out, I'm not coming in. I'm staying out. I'm fighting for it. And I think just that exit on that final corner was what was my doom when Jackalaka the bastard sent it around the outside.
There it is.
Oh, well, congratulations on another podium, at least for now. We'll see what the stewards have to say about the final chicane incident, but I think you can be very proud of your drive today, Sumo, and I hope you can take this form into the rest of the season and challenge for the title for the first time.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. It's going to be good. P5 was a well-earned result last season, so top 3, if not the win, is the goal. I mean, the calendar looks pretty good. There's some great Singapore's on there, which I think I'm owed a win at Singapore, so let's let's go for it.
Oh, well, congratulations again, and hopefully we can see you on the podium a few more times this season. Well done, Sumo.
Pleasure.
All right, I'm going to try and get a interview in Discord with Denko if I can. Oh, it's being difficult. Why is it unlink Discord every time I close the PS5? That's so annoying. Every other social media account remains linked no matter what, but Discord just unlinks itself for some reason. Well, I'll see if I can work it out for next time. I'll just make sure I link my Discord before each race, at least. But yeah, well, congratulations to Denko on a maiden podium in APP Tier 2, and the way he drove today, there may be many more to come. So many congratulations to him if he's listening. And yeah, we'll see what more you can do over this season. But well, what a race it was! What a result for our top 3, and a fantastic entertainment show all round, up and down the grid. It was brilliant to watch. So here's hoping the rest of the season is anything like that. So thank you all ever so much for watching. We'll be back next week for more APP Tier 2, where we will be heading to round number 2 in Bahrain. So we'll see what happens there. But thank you all ever so much. Thank you to all our drivers as well for making such a fantastic season opener. And we'll see you all next time. Goodbye.